Will burning aluminum cans clean your chimney? Let's find out in today's video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a firewood myth that you may not have heard of, and that's that if you throw aluminum cans in your wood stove and let them burn, it will clean your chimney, getting rid of your creosote. Is there any truth to this myth? Let's find out. So first, we have to discuss what is in an aluminum can. What is it made of? At face value, it might seem obvious. It's an aluminum can. It's made of aluminum, which is the majority of the case. But there are other things that the can is made of, which is going to play a huge vital factor in whether or not there's any validity to this myth. So in addition to being aluminum, on average, cans are also going to be 0.4% iron, 0.2% silicon, 0.15% copper, 1% magnesium, and 1% manganese. What is manganese, you might be asking yourself? Manganese is a hard and brittle silvery metal often associated with iron. The manganese is added to aluminum to help with hardness and strength. It also does add some corrosion resistance. So you're probably wondering to yourself, what does any of this have to do with cleaning a chimney? So commercial creosote removers like you're going to buy at a store are going to have usually a couple of different ingredients, and those are either going to be trisodium phosphate or manganese acetate. Manganese, as I mentioned, is in aluminum cans, and there's something magical about manganese that you need to know. So aluminum is one of the metals that has a lower melting point compared to a lot of other metals. And it's going to have a melting point of approximately 660 degrees Celsius, which is 1220 degrees Fahrenheit. Often, the center of your fire in your wood stove, believe it or not, is going to be in the 1500 to 1800 degree Fahrenheit range. Sometimes wood fires can get as hot as 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's certainly hot enough to melt and burn the aluminum, which releases the manganese into your chimney and flue system, and it creates a chemical reaction with the creosote. Essentially what it does is it dries it out. It sticks and bonds to the tar-like, gummy, glazed on creosote in your chimney liner and in your flue pipe, and it dries it out and creates a nice, soft, fluffy, dry, almost like a wispy version of the creosote, which is much easier to clean with a chimney brush. And in fact, oftentimes this now dried out creosote will fall down the chimney flue or the pipe by itself into your clean out area, so you can easily dispose of it. So in addition to drying out the creosote and getting rid of that tar-like glazed on creosote that can be really hard to clean and dangerous, it also can loosen components in your stove and allow them to be more free and easy to access. Things like your damper, some rods, maybe you have a flapper. All these different components in your stove could have glazed, gummed on, tar-like creosote, preventing them from working properly. And without taking the stove apart, it could be a real problematic thing to fix. So burning cans or a creosote remover from a store could prevent and help that loosen up, get rid of that creosote, allow it to flake up and fall off, and get your stove working in better order. So how many cans do you ask would you need to burn in order to get this effect that you need to clean your chimney and your flue? Well, that's up to debate. I think depending on who you ask, the number could vary, but most people I think are probably going to say 1 or 2 cans a day keeps the chimney sweep away. All kidding aside, if you burned 1 to 2 cans in your wood stove a day over the course of, let's say, 1 to 2 weeks, I think you would see a vast improvement in the glazed, caked on creosote buildup in your chimney. I will say this, I can say for 100% certainty that drying out the creosote in your chimney vent system makes it much, much easier to clean. The reason I know this is I'm pretty fanatic about cleaning my chimney pipe and my flue system, and I'll do it up to once a month during the burning season. The end of the burning season, when I'm completely done burning for that year, I'll clean the chimney, clean the flue, make sure everything's good. I get it the best I can. It sits all spring, all summer, And then before I start burning again in the fall, I'll clean it again. Now keep in mind, in this 6-month period, whatever it is, I haven't burned a single stick of wood. And I've already cleaned it the best I could at the end of the burning season and that last winter, early spring, whatever it is. But when I go to clean it again in the fall, after that 6 months of dry weather in summer, I get a lot of creosote buildup, and I notice that it's much easier to clean because it's been drying out all summer with that hot heat and that hot weather. There's something about the dry creosote that allows it to release from the walls of the flue, especially if you have a clay flue. I think if you had a stainless steel liner, it probably wouldn't be as big of a difference, or if you had a chimney that was completely in the building envelope in your house. But if you have the chimney on the exterior of your house, or you have a clay chimney liner, I think you're gonna notice a huge difference with how easily dried, flaky creosote cleans versus tarry, glazed creosote. So of course there are some things that I think you should keep in mind. If you have a newer stove with a catalytic converter and you have some expensive, maybe secondary burning type features of your stove, I would probably not recommend you try something like this. You could damage your stove, and I don't think it's probably worth it. But for me and a lot of people that have older smoke dragon type stoves, they'll pretty much burn anything, and they don't have those fancy, electronics on them or gadgets that cost a lot of money. I think it's a good experiment to try. I'm not saying that you should try it. If you do try it, you're doing so at your own risk. Another thing I think it could be handy for is if you had a really bad winter and you weren't able to get up on your roof, maybe you had a couple feet of snow up there and it just wasn't physically possible to get up there for an extended period of time, maybe a month or whatever. I think, you could possibly use cans or creosote remover from a store in lieu of a cleaning. One of my final thoughts. I think there is some merit to this myth because of the manganese that's in the aluminum cans. Even though it's only about 1%, it's enough that it does cause a chemical reaction with the creosote when burned at a hot enough temperature that it allows the creosote to loosen, dry, flake, and come off and fall into the clean out door or be cleaned with traditional sweeping tools. With that said, no amount of creosote remover or aluminum cans is going to replace good wood burning practices, which I've talked about ad nauseum in other videos. Things like properly seasoned wood, burning your wood in your stove at a hot enough temperature, regular cleanings, regular maintenance. You cannot replace any of that kind of stuff with creosote remover or cans. You still want to follow all those normal wood burning practices that I've talked about in those other videos. I recommend that you check your chimney pipe or your flue at least once a month during the burning season. That doesn't mean you have to clean it, but at least check it and see what condition it's in. Because I think if you use these kind of products and you had a really dirty chimney, you could actually cause more problems than you hope. So I don't know that there's really too much more to say. I am interested to know if any of my viewers have actually tried this themselves and what their results were. This has been around for quite some time. I remember reading forum posts about burning aluminum cans back in like 2008, 2009, 2010, that era. So we're talking a good 15 years ago that I've been reading this, and I'm sure it was done long before that. I kind of envisioned that a bunch of guys were probably sitting around having a few beers and they decided to throw some aluminum cans in their fire as kind of a, just a kicks and giggles kind of thing. And they probably realized a week or two later, hey, this actually helped clean the chimney. I'm guessing that's where maybe this myth started. I don't know for sure. But let me know if you've tried this, if you think it works, if you think it's silly. As always, if you do want to try this, you're doing so at your own risk. I'm certainly not recommending that you burn aluminum cans in your wood stove, but I think it is an interesting thing that you could try, and I would definitely not try it in an open fireplace. But if you want to try it in an airtight wood stove, be my guest. Have a good one, friends. Well, we certainly do hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We hope you found it informative, fun, maybe something a little different that you haven't seen before. We do strive to do videos that are different from time to time, things that you might not see that are still interesting and good to know. And we have a lot of different content on Firewood, all kinds of different informational things you need to know, as well as some other myths like can you burn pine in an indoor wood stove and all kinds of other content. And in fact, we're going to put some of our videos that we highly recommend for you on your screen at the end of this video for you to check out. And until next time, please have a great day. See you next time, friends.